Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on The Last Word tonight. My name is Sophia Wanuna. Delighted that you could make time to be with us this evening. And of course, with about 14 months to go to next year's general election, political alignments and realignments continue to occur. And of course, there's the all-time posturing that we also see in the political landscape. And this time around, it's about anti-Ruto come 2022. The Jubilee Coalition has said that it is a foregone case in as far as next year's election, that the President Kenyatta will be on the ticket. And 2022 largely had been agreed to be Deputy President Ruto who would be taking over. But there's some coming out to say he should not rely on the support of the Mount Kenya region. Want to explore why that issue is coming up now. And of course, later on, also look at some of the discord that has been witnessed in the Orange Democratic Movement. Joining me in studio tonight for a discussion is the Kiharu Member of Parliament, Irungu Kang'ata, who's on my immediate left. And next to him is Danson Omari, who is a lawyer as well as a political analyst. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us, and I look forward to hearing your views on this subject tonight. But let's begin with a recap of our top stories today. And we begin in Siaya County, where all the 9 bodies of the victims who perished in Lake Victoria have been recovered. The county government promised to cater for their burial expenses. The tragedy has raised questions on the safety protocol of the vessels providing water transport on the lake. Kenya's Health Cabinet Secretary Cleophas Mailu today led an impromptu inspection of the Kenyatta National Hospital in a rare move that caught most of the patients and staff at the facility off guard. The visit revealed a hospital still struggling to operate with rundown equipment, even as a government-imposed deadline to equip all 47 counties with state-of-the-art facilities by the end of June lapses. The names of 14 lawmakers from both Jubilee and CORD who will sit in the Joint Select Committee to investigate the credibility of the electoral body will be tabled in both houses tomorrow. The leadership in both houses will also table the motion seeking approval by members to kickstart the process. A Kenyan voter appeared before a committee and petitioned for the removal of current IEBC commissioners. All right, and to set the stage for our conversation tonight here on The Last Word, Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta has once again answered those fueling doubts on whether Jubilee members will automatically support his deputy, William Ruto, come 2022. Uhuru says the Jubilee Grand Transformation Plan for Kenya will be completed by William Ruto after he takes over State House in 2022.
After the recent repulse in the Jubilee camp caused by Kiambu Governor William Kabogo's comments on Ruto's 2022 ticket, another politician inside Jubilee fired another salvo at Ruto, forcing President Uhuru Kenyatta to speak out. Here is what TNA-nominated Senator Paul Njoroge said on Sunday.
Hata tujiona manifesto. Unajua hatuna hata manifesto ya 2022. Yeah? Sasa unaona, without manifesto, without hata hatujui hajatuambia exactly wanaenda na nani, ndio tuangalie vile mambo itakuwa.
But a statement signed by the Communications Director, Status Munyori Buku, says, and I quote, "The president has made it very clear that the party will fully back a Deputy President William Ruto. The president has explained that 10 years of his own term are not long enough to implement the grand plan Jubilee has for Kenya and will need another 10 years under William Ruto to be fully implemented," end quote. The president, who is currently in Botswana on an official visit, is on record that the Jubilee government will rule for 20 years.
Wagojee miaka 10, Uhuru amalize kazi yake, alafu wagojee miaka ingine 10, Ruto amalize kazi yake. Alafu sasa wakitaka watakuja sasa waunde yao ambayo watakuja kusema ni nani atakuwa ndani, nani atakuwa nje.
Utaniruhusu niweze kwenda. Asante, Mungu akubariki.
The anti-Ruto campaigns were started by Meru Governor Peter Munya early this year after he walked out of a meeting presided over by the Deputy President in Meru, protesting the move to fold up all parties affiliated to Jubilee and join JAP and support Ruto come 2022.
Hakuna mtu hata yeyote anaweza kunisurutisha ya kwamba lazima niingie chama fulani.
Then there was Kiambu Governor William Kabogo, who was accused of stating that leaders will have to meet first before endorsing Ruto.
Kuna wengi wangependa kutenganisha mimi na Mheshimiwa Deputy President because we are good friends.
Makosa gani Kabogo amesema? Amesema huyu mtu lazima atembee kila kona na atafute mpaka apate. Iko makosa amefanya? Hiyo maneno mzuri, hiyo kura mimi nitatafuta kabisa bwana Kabogo. Hii nitafanya juu chini.
However, according to politicians affiliated to Jubilee, those pushing the anti-Ruto debate are advancing their own selfish agendas.
There is no circus or plot to oust or to change the formula within Jubilee. And any such plot will be countered with the greatest political force within Jubilee, because we're very clear about that.
This is the time for us to speak with one voice, because we don't want to send the wrong messages to our strongholds.
2017, yeye hasimami, he's supporting our president. What else can you do for such a great man? The only thing we can do is to reciprocate when the time comes and assure him of our support in 2022.
The anti-Ruto 2022 presidential campaigns seems to be gaining momentum, but with the 2017 general elections fast approaching, will the differences between Jubilee legislators affect the relationship between Uhuru and Ruto?
Our real problem should be about 2017 for now. That if we are keeping on talking about 2022, we may miss the point about 2017. Because if there is no 2017 and we don't win in 2017, then there is not even that question of whether we are going to be in the same coalition or not.
The Deputy President is yet to respond to the growing campaign against his 2022 presidential ambitions. Chris Dairo, KTN News.
All right, Chris Tyro asking that all-important question and posing, is that anti-Ruto, at least for 2022, gaining momentum? That campaign that we've seen, first was Kabogo who came up with this, made those sentiments about the Mount Kenya support not being automatic after 2017, and then the nominated member of parliament. On Twitter, we're engaging with you on this question. We want to hear your voice tonight. Do you think the Jubilee coalition will stand up to 2017 and even post-2017 owing to the developments we're seeing now? Tweet me at Sophia Wanuna. I'll sample your thoughts throughout the show. And indeed, it's a question we put up before the show began. Quite a number of you already tweeting in. So in just a bit, I'll be looking at some of your thoughts. But to my guests this evening, Irungu Kangata, Kero, Member of Parliament, and Dunstan Omari, thank you, gentlemen, once more for being with us tonight. Mheshimiwa, let me begin with you. Why is your coalition airing its dirty linen?
Well, of course, in every marketplace you'll find an insane person, and therefore this is not the song of the Jubilee. It is everything to do with some people who believe in tribal politics, and they are lone rangers. They will always exist in every political entity, but that has nothing to do with the political song or the philosophy of our part of the coalition.
But you now have two members who've come out and said the same thing. Is it you don't tolerate dissent, or people not agreeing and all reading from the same script? Or what do you mean when you say a madman in every market?
You see, we do have a certain philosophy which has been pronounced by the President and also the membership. It's very clear that we have stated we shall support Deputy President 2022, and therefore any person who is trying to go against that script, that person is not fronting the Jubilee agenda. In any event, all these characters who are saying that they have their own personal issues. Mr. Kabogo is currently facing a major battle from Babayao, who is perceived to be an ally of the Deputy President. This other guy, I know as a matter of fact, is a friend of Mr. Wetangula. If you can recall, there was the rectangular presidential lounge in Kakamega. He is the only person from the Jubilee coalition who attended. So from where I sit, I strongly believe this guy is a CORD mole. Otherwise, why did he attend that presidential launch of the CORD members? So I can tell you this guy is only acting on behalf of instruction from CORD.
Yeah. And yet he's a nominated senator. The word mole again comes again. So we'll look into the question of disciplinary measures in as far as the party is concerned. But Dunstan, your thoughts on this? Why is it coming up now, 2022? We still have 2017 to go.
It's quite a puzzle, honestly, Sophia. We are 7 years away before 2022. We are now talking of succession. One, as if already 2017 is up and closed.
Is it?
It's as if, because it's like we are forgetting that we have a battle in 2017, on 8th of August 2017. Sophia, when we look at the historical perspective of succession politics, in 1974, when the founding father of this nation appeared to be sickly, there was the debate of will the deputy take over? There was a very serious onslaught called the Kenyatta succession, and the law was being amended to remove the vice president, then retired President Moi, from ascending to power for 90 days pending elections in case the aging president could have died in office. The same politics played out, and in the course of those politics, the same characteristics, William Ruto and President Moi were deputies of one Jomo Kenyatta and one Uhuru Kenyatta. One Moi kept quiet. One Moi said he will serve. He'll serve honestly with loyalty. It gave him the job come 1978 when President Jomo Kenyatta died. The same approach I've seen the deputy president saying, I am serving the current president. I'm not in contestation with the president. I will serve and wait patiently till 2022. Is there anything comparative that you can look at these two characteristics? Very, very the same. Come around when there was a vice president called Josephat Karanja. Josephat Karanja was hounded out of office by one Kuria Kanyingi, and an entity, a mechanic, a guy who was in charge of motor vehicle inspection. Is in Njoroge that Kanyingi, who has serious instructions to evict the deputy president from being a running mate of Uhuru Kenyatta this election. So this game, is it really, as my learned colleague is a lawyer like me and a serious friend of mine, he's putting out that one Senator Njoroge is just like a madman on the streets. Is that really the issue? Me, I see a bigger scheme, considering that in this country, any vice president, any deputy president faces serious challenges before they ascend. And you'll be surprised. Vice President Mwai Kibaki was shown the door.
Right.
He had to come back to the presidency from outside.
So you're saying this is not even about 2022. These are individuals perhaps within Jubilee that are trying to explore a different option come 2017 without necessarily Rift Valley, which Ruto brings.
There are quite a lot of political undertones in this matter,
right,
which is yet to come out clear. Is Jubilee talking with one voice, or is Jubilee cracking?
Okay.
Remember, every time the election comes around, politicians coalesce on points of interest.
Okay.
They converge on points of interest. 2013, there was an interest, the ICC. What is the interest in 2017? And the question is, what will be the interest in 2022? That is what will shape up the realignment on who gets what.
So you said the nominated senator is a mole. Is Honorable Kabogo as well considered a mole now in the Jubilee circles?
Well, no, for Kabogo, it's a different scenario. He is trying to attack the deputy president because there is a perception that the deputy president is supporting his major rival. So therefore, for Kabogo, it's a different ball game.
All right.
But in respect to this guy, I strongly believe he is a mole. However, I also want to acknowledge one point. We do have what we call ethnic demagogues amongst ourselves. And those people believe this notion of Kikuyu supremacy. And therefore, it is true, you may find a small group amongst the Kikuyus who may still have this notion they would want power to be retained among Kikuyu forever and forever. However, to me, that's not the point. The point should be, are there indications which exist that show that President Uhuru is going to support Ruto together with his community? They do exist, those conditions.
Right.
Number one, the idea of forming one single political party is clearly the best indication that indeed we want to support him, because all factors shows that when we come into one political party, the greatest beneficiary is going to become Mr. Ruto. Why? He's going to have power as to the kind of people who are going to become members of parliament in Kikuyu land. He's going to control nominations and resources.
Please put for me back your microphone over your ear. It's right on your shoulder, sir. Thank you for that.
So essentially, we have demonstrated by merging into one political party, the greatest beneficiary, if you look all factors, will be the deputy president. And therefore, that shows that indeed we are paving the way for him to assume power. That's number one. Number two, we must also realize when you compare all those other deputy presidents, there have been people who have been soft, who don't have resources, who don't have the leeway to go around campaigning. But Uhuru Kenyatta has given deputy president the leeway to campaign so vigorously all over Kikuyu land. And by the way, by doing that, he has been given what we call soft power. He is now so strong. If Uhuru was to go this way and Ruto was to go this way, members of parliament would coalesce around Ruto. So essentially, that shows President Uhuru is a person, unlike the previous presidents who have empowered the office of the deputy president. And therefore, Ruto is being shown indeed that President Uhuru is a person who pays his debts. Finally, I think there is also a genetical aspect to it. Mzee Jomo Kenyatta is the only Kikuyu who stood with Moi, notwithstanding the pressure that was being put upon the Kikuyu community to ensure Moi doesn't succeed him. Him alone, he stood by Deputy President. All indications show that his son has that predisposition of supporting another person and vigorously to ascend into power.
But it's not just about his son. We all know that politics, there's the power and the people behind the power. So he might be very well intentioned, but it's not all about him making that decision. Mr. Dunstan, let me bring this to you. Should the Deputy President be concerned and worried with these claims from the TNA side, especially because it's not the first time we've seen some issues arising between URP and TNA. There has been a bit of friction even early on in as far as positions were concerned. So to see them now becoming bolder, more outspoken, should the DP be concerned that he might very well be ditched?
One thing, the DP is a hard fighter. He is a hard-knuckled fighter and a soft fighter. He has a personality that transcends the political ground as a political animal. Even the ICC called him a political animal. Why do I call him also, do I confirm that he's a political animal? When you look at all the vice presidents of this country, they were restricted to operate within their tribal cocoons. All of them, up to and including the vice president, then Mwai Kibaki. He had to operate in Nyeri. Saitoti had to operate in Masai Land. When you come to Karanja, he was only restricted to Kiambu. All these people could not move out. The deputy president has gone the whole nation. He has admitted here that he has his own people he is supporting to challenge those TNA members. For example, when he says, my learned colleague says that Ferdinand Waititu is giving Kabogo a nightmare, and is perceived to be an Uhuru ally. What we are trying to see is that the deputy president is laying ground to have very many MPs in parliament. The law as it is, there's a very dangerous article called impeachment of a president. Suppose the deputy president has very many MPs in parliament. Is he likely to be a challenge to the sitting president? So that those tribal bigots, those he calls the people who believe that the presidential motorcade should not pass through River Chania upwards or pass through Nakuru downwards. They will be trying to protect Uhuru Kenyatta based on their tribal orientation. That is a question we'll discuss next week. What I'm saying is that we are dealing with a very strong deputy president, a very emphatic, a very religious person. He appeals to the religious flock. He appeals to the people who are not religious. He appeals to very many emotions, and he looks a very, very strong contender for presidency. Okay. So people have already started asking, is it likely that we can have a president as strong as William Ruto? That is a question that Njoroge, I wish he was here, and I hear he's on the way coming. I wish he could explain that. Is William Ruto a replica of Raila Odinga? So that the late Wamalwa Kijana will say that either people love him with a lot of passion and fear him with a lot of paranoia. So is it that extreme of William Ruto that makes people start asking, are we safe? Do we have safe hands here? So in my own view, that is one man who has worked to earn what he is today.
Can I comment?
Yes.
First and foremost, in terms as to whether what kind of a president he will be, you have to look at his history. When he was the member of parliament for Eldoret North, his constituency used to be rated as one of the best managed in terms of CDF management. Number two, when he was the Minister of Education, we saw the kind of radical proposals that he brought. For instance, like myself, we used to wait to join university after 2 years. But after Ruto came in, he reduced that period to 1 year. So we have seen him bring revolutionary ideas to this society.
But there are those who've also seen him as a liability in terms of Jubilee, because on one hand, you saw the debacle that unfolded with Langata Primary School and him being linked to Western Hotel. It is one that put him on the spotlight. Then there was the piece of land which a court ruled that it must be returned. So he has also faced some allegations that have seen many say in terms of whether he's bringing and dragging too much baggage to the camp he is, and perhaps as Jubilee they need to explore a different alternative going forward. Do you agree with those within Jubilee who see him as a liability?
No way, because one, all those are allegations. They've never been proved in a court of law. Even that issue
the piece
regarding...
of land had to be returned. That was a matter that was found in court that it had been illegally acquired. He had to return it to the original owner. So that is a matter that he was found guilty.
No, the matter is pending in a court of appeal. So therefore, as we speak, we cannot say with certainty those facts are correct. Be that as it may. The point is, in politics, there are other major considerations apart from corruption issues. And one key consideration is whether he brings sufficient numbers into the table, which he does. When you compare the big four...
So to you, corruption is not a big deal?
No, it is. But the point is, it is still something that is out there. It is not something that has been proved as against him. But what I know as a matter of fact is that when you are ascending to become a president, you are going to face major fights. And Mr. Ruto must be ready to face such kind of allegations, but they are weird allegations. And therefore, in my own opinion, we must look at Ruto in terms of, number one, the clarity of thought that he brings into Jubilee. Number two, the clout in terms of numbers. Number three, in terms of helping us clarify our agenda. And which agenda? Were it not for him, I'm doubtful as to whether we as Jubilee we could be able to reach where we are. But I can tell you as a matter of fact, these guys who are trying to attack us within us, they are moles. Like my colleague who is Mr. Njoroge. By the way, he was not originally nominated by our party. He came into Senate position through legal maneuvering. He is here, he's going to confirm that he came into parliament through a court process. So therefore, I can tell you, and I strongly believe he is a mole from court. I strongly believe he has been sent by Wetangula, and therefore, we should disregard what he is telling us.
And it's good because after this short break we are going to right now, that nominated senator will be with us here in studio to respond to those allegations that he is a mole, that in fact is working at the behest of instructions from court in as far as his sentiments concerning the deputy president. Stay with us here on The Last Word. Things are bound to get interesting.